Welcome back to Young Tripp Reactions. The first video we're going to do is Lavar Ball says his wife divorced him after his amputation. His wife divorced him once he became disabled. And us disabled people wonder why it's hard, especially us disabled men wonder why it's hard for us to date. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, join the Young Tripp family. If you have any videos that you run across that you feel that fit the channel, post it in my community tab or send it to me through direct message over on Instagram. If you have anything personal going on, send that to me through direct message over on Instagram. Also, come follow me over on Instagram because I post over there as well too. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and join the Young Tripp family. Let's get into this. Young Tripp and Willie D live.
What's up, family? Lavar Ball is living out the meaning of in sickness and in health because his wife of 30 years did not wait until death did them part to catch out. Lavar says he got his foot amputated and his wife amputated their marital vows.
She divorced him after his foot got amputated. And I have a lot of people that will tell me that, oh, maybe it's just the person that you're talking to or that you're trying to talk to, like when I try to talk to somebody. No, a majority of women, most women, want their guy to be perfect with everything that we look at as perfect. Being able to see, hear, smell, talk, everything. But you'll hear a lot of people say things like, oh, because it's compared to a lot of women. A lot of women actually do need to be able to evaluate who they're talking to, and that's why they end up in bad relationships. A person that is disabled, people look at disabled people differently, or somebody who has a disability or has some type of difference, to them, that people look at them differently. And especially men, disabled men, because as I stated in another video that I did, I have plenty of disabled friends that that are visually impaired, who have vision issues like myself, who are dating or married to somebody who's not disabled. So it is a woman thing. It's not really around everybody thing, because I know plenty of men that are talking to disabled women. My ex-fiance, for instance, has had people even hit on her even after me and her have stopped talking. So I know for a fact. I also have friends who went to school with me as well too, who have gotten married, had children, still in their relationship right now. I also have friends who have broken up, who have broken up, but they have kids. They're still culturally, not culturally, they're still connected because of the kids, and they, take turns where the kid goes and stays with them and lives with them or stay all night with them and then go back home to the other parent. I have friends that have vision loss that, that are women and their whole lives are just like any other normal woman when it comes to dating. But a man, when it comes to dating, is not that way. Um, it's, oh, I don't think you could be a provider, or can you really be intimate, or can you really do this because now you have this disability, or you've always had this disability. Um, I believe something like vision loss and stuff, that if you've been that way your entire life, um, if even if I didn't have vision loss, I if somebody who had vision loss wanted to talk to me and they've had vision loss their entire life, um, I wouldn't be so quick to turn them away. If you had vision loss, if you had vision loss, for 2 or 3 years, I don't know if I would want to kind of talk to you because you haven't really gotten adapt to that life yet. And that's not to be hateful. It's just a matter of you haven't adapted to that life yet. And if I lost my vision just a couple years ago or something like that, um, I don't know. Um, I wouldn't want somebody to come and talk to me if I just lost my vision. Now, if you're already married and been married or dating for a long period of time, I would stay in that relationship. If I was somebody who was uh, married or dating somebody for a long time and then they lost their eyesight, I would stay with them um, because I've already been with them, so I would stay with them. So I would stay with them. But I somebody who just lost their eyesight, and then they wanted to talk to me. I don't know about all that because you need to learn how to live with vision loss. Maybe I may still get to know them, but I don't know if I would get into a relationship with them right away, basically. But this woman has been married to this guy, um, and for over 40 years, and then his leg, foot gets amputated, and then she ready to go. But again, like I said, women for some reason cannot handle dating somebody disabled. A lot of women cannot handle that. But men, I guess it's just within our strongness and or whatever that we can do that. Like I said, I have plenty of friends who I know who are dating or married or was dating or was married to people that were not legally blind and were fully sighted um, and had great relationships and had children and stayed married or got divorced or broke up, and the kids go back and forth. They go spend the night with dad, then go back to mom, or or whatever their agreement is, just like any other woman. Um, but for some reason, for us men, that is not the same way. I guess people, because women think that us men can't be providers because we're disabled. I mean, I don't know what it is. I make content. I have a culinary degree and cook at restaurants. I work at warehouses. My life is not some pity party person that you would have to take care of if you were uh, dating me or married to me or anything like that. My life, that's not my life. Um, I'm not saying that there aren't disabled people out there that's like that, um, but I'm not like that. And a lot of people that I know isn't like that. Um, so make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and join the Young Tripp family. Let's continue.
Caught out. Foot amputated, and his wife amputated their marital vows. She caught out. She ended the marriage. Whoo, that's cold-blooded, fam. I was checking out some of y'all comments. Some of y'all out there talking about, well, what did he do? Immediately, so many people were like, well, what did he do? Well, women, I'm going to just be specific. Women like, what did he do to her? She probably caught hell for X amount of years and whatever. Look, fam, there's two sides to every story. So, I mean, it could be. She probably caught hell for X amount of years and whatever. Look, fam, there's two sides to every story. So, I mean, it could be some credence to that, right? But I can only go by what I heard him say, right? And he said that, he helped her when she was sick. He said when she went through her stroke, he was right there for her. She had a massive stroke, and he stood by, and he...
But that's normal for us men to do that because we don't look, as I just stated, as you guys already heard me speak about, like I have friends, female friends who are um, who are who are legally blind like myself, who are dating or married to a non-disabled man, but a woman will instantly check out if you become disabled, or if they find out that you're disabled, they will be ready to shut down on you. Most women will do that. They'll shut down on you. And be ready to reject you. I've had more rejections than I can count regarding regular women that's not legally blind. More than I can count, just because of me being legally blind. And I've had them flat out say, because you're legally blind. Flat out say it. What would my friends think if I date you? Or you would be considered low value, or I'll be settling if I date you. So this is a real thing for people who, and I explain this like to relatives and people will state that, oh, well, it's the people that you're picking. No, 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 no. This is the majority of most people because of what they think about people, because they have a disability. This is majority of people. This is not this is not, oh, you're just picking bad people. And a lot of times women want to say that because they have picked bad people. And so then they want to turn that around on you and say, well, that's because you are picking bad people. Or try to turn it around as you're picking bad people. No. Women actually reject the men that they should be dating, that would be good husbands and good boyfriends, more than somebody rejecting somebody, and accept the person that they should not be dating. That's just the way it is. Especially because women say, well, thinking that they could change him and make him better and all that. So that's just normal. I don't know if that will ever change. But back to this story. He got his leg basically amputated, and his wife left. She left because she couldn't basically deal with his disability. So we already know what this woman would do if a person like me stepped in front of her. She would instantly say, oh, nope. Because as soon as she hears about that eyesight, she'll have to go. Now, I'm not saying every woman is like this. Obviously, there is some women that will date disabled people. I have a friend that two of my friends. One dated this one lady that they met at their church. One of my friends, he's totally blind, and he started dating her first. Um, Obviously, they just had some disagreements, I guess, within their relationship and stopped dating. And then my other friend, because they all went to the same church, my other friend, who is visually impaired, so the first guy she dated was totally blind. Um, and then the next guy that she started dating, who was one of my friends who also went to school with us as well, with me and the other guy, um, he is visually impaired, and they are now married. The same girl that the other guy was dating. She has a history of dating legally blind men, um, and so and she doesn't have a problem with it, and she's not severely disabled or nothing like that. I think she walks with a little bit of a limp, but I mean, there's tons of people out here who walk a little bit with a limp, and that's not a disability. And so she could be dating, she could be married to anybody, since now that she's married to my other friend, she could be married to anybody right now. But she actually loves and likes and cares about my friend, and they're married, and all that. So there are women that can look past it. But a majority of women, and most women, is not going to look past it. And that's why a lot of disabled men have to either date somebody else that's disabled, or they have to plan a trip to another country, or something like that, just to be able to find love. And that's sad, because Americans have a standard that you have to be, and a quota you have to meet to, like, to date them. You got to meet all these different criterias and standards, just to date them. Or, and that's just to date them. Shoot, you got to date somebody or you can marry them. You got to meet the standards before dating them. Like, I've had a chick tell me, well, because you can't have a car, you can't drive me, I have to drive us on a date. Heck no, I need a dude who can drive my car and drive their car. It's like, oh, okay. Like, I have a visually impairment. There's no way I can drive your car, or get my own car. But again, there's different types of standards, and people are entitled to have the standards that they want. As a person who makes relationship content, and again, even a visually impaired person has their standards as well too. Everybody has things that they like, and like in different forms of women. There's a certain type within black that even a visually impaired person has, including myself. There's a type that people like within the Caucasians that they'll talk to. There's a type that everybody has within the Asians that they'll talk to. There's a type within the Mexicans that they'll talk to. So even a visually impaired person, because of course a person like me that's visually impaired even have standards and things as well too. So there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's even standards that even a totally blind person has, but their standards may be a little bit different. Maybe they want their girlfriend or boyfriend's voice to be a certain way. So, like, if you're a blind woman, you may want a man with a very, very deep voice. If you are a man that is totally blind, you you still may want the same similar things as a man. Maybe you want her to still be skinny or thin and have long hair, and you want to be able to reach up and touch their hair, or when you give them a hug, you want to be able to know that their hair is long, or feel their figure a little bit to know that maybe that they're still skinny. So even if you could see, you would know exactly what they look like, or you could tell that other people like them based off of how other people move around them, or different things like that. So even totally blind people even have standards. I even had one lady that thought it was weird. She was totally blind and thought it was weird for a totally blind man to have standards. And she was completely blind, and she thought a totally blind man shouldn't have standards. And I'm like, everybody has standards. Even you have standards. You wouldn't just date anybody. Because this was in like a dating group for blind people. that I was in at one point. And she was like, well, that's shallow to have standards. I'm like, that's not shallow. Everybody has standards. You may like a man with a deep voice, like I stated earlier. Some men want for a totally blind man, may want a woman that is very feminine with her voice, where you can tell her voice is very feminine and not very masculine. I had a totally blind friend that went to school with me, and he loves black women, and he can't see anything. He was crazy about my mother. So, um, so, um, you know, so you are allowed to have standards or whatever. But again, don't be upset if something doesn't go your way because of your standards. And you can always look around and usually will find somebody with your standards if you're a man. Now, a woman, because she wants a whole bunch of different things, may be a bit different. 6 foot tall, making $6K a month, driving around in Bentleys and all types of different cars, basically a CEO of a company, but she's working as a supervisor at Walmart. No. That's considered ridiculous standards. But again, you are entitled to have whatever standards you want. But is somebody like that more likely going to talk to somebody like that? Probably not. Probably not. So, but again, we are allowed to have whatever standards that we want. But this whole situation is she left him because he, had to get part of his leg amputated. And, you know, and things changed. And there are people out here who would leave anybody with a whole bunch of money or even less money as well. There are people who would leave for even with less money, or leave somebody even if they have a whole bunch of money. I mean, they'll leave that person even if they have a whole bunch of money if they become disabled, and go find somebody else who's of the same standard without the disability. Absolutely insane. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and join the Young Tripp family. Well, let's continue.
Also went through her stroke. He was right there for her. She had a massive stroke, and he stood by. And he also alluded to the idea that she may not have been as beautiful, but she was always beautiful to him until she showed him something different, meaning.
So, as he said, that his wife probably, is not the most highest looking, but his wife was highest looking to him, and she left him. So she thinks she's more than what she must be. Obviously, you'll see her in my thumbnail because I got the photo. But there may be people out there that will say, "Oh yeah, she's very, very highly attractive." You know, and as he said, to some people maybe she wouldn't be, but she's always was beautiful to him, and that's the most important part anyway. And then she still left him thinking that she can go do something better or get with somebody better, because he got his leg amputated. Let's continue.
That she wanted. Alluded to the idea that she may not have been as beautiful, but she was always beautiful to him until she showed him something different, meaning that she wanted something different than him. So she called out, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poor, till death do us part. How many of you believe in that? Give me a thumbs up if you'll do it. in sickness and in health. That's the big one. That's
You should do it in sickness and for health. And yeah, how many people would do that? I know I would. And how many people would actually talk to somebody who has, like a little bit of a disability that they may have had their entire life? I also look at somebody who's had a disability their entire life a little bit differently than a person who may have, became disabled. But in this situation, it's just like a prosthetic. You have to probably get a prosthetic leg or a prosthetic foot. I don't think that really changes much of anything versus somebody like becoming legally blind. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to learn how to do life all over again being legally blind. But if I was already married to somebody or dating somebody for 40 years, I would just deal with it. But again, I'm speaking as a man, not as a woman, though. But I would deal with it. It is what it is. Things happen to people. Now, a person losing their sight, and I just met them on the street, and I just met them, and they say, "Oh, I just became legally blind 6 months ago." I don't know if I would date somebody in that type of situation because you don't like this is all new to you. So like if I even with me being visually impaired now, I probably would be like, I don't know about all that. Even if I was fully sighted. So you see, even in either circumstance, I'm like, I don't know about that regarding somebody who just became legally blind. You know what I'm saying? And how to, wonder if I could actually deal with that or put up with that, because they got to learn everything. So if they're super blind, they got to learn how to read braille. They got to learn how to navigate everything again. They may be upset and want pity because they, lost their sight. They may think that the world owes them something. So then even like with me being sighted, I probably be like, oh, I don't know about all that. No, 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 no. I don't want to deal with that. Even being visually impaired, I may actually snap on them harder because I've been visually impaired forever, and then they just lost their vision 6 months ago. I may snap on them even harder, like, you know, it, but we're talking about an amputation of a foot, a leg, you can still do so much. You still got everything pretty much working for you. I would take an amputation of a foot over being legally blind. I would take that over that. But see, so many people don't even know how to look at things differently to understand that your significant other is still basically the same. They're still the same person, everything. He doesn't have to learn how to probably do anything or anything. Maybe to learn how to walk on a prosthetic foot. That's probably about it. But I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and join the Young Tripp family. Let's continue.
probably bigger than us part. How many of you believe in that? Give me a thumbs up if you'll do it. In sickness and in health. That's the big one. That's probably bigger than richer or poor. Now, ain't nothing bigger than that money. Because there have been people that will stay with a person if they're sick, as long as their financial needs are met. They'll put you in that back room and they'll go shopping. Okay, so family, seriously, how many of you would adhere to those vows? In sickness and to health, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. How many of you could honestly say, yeah, I can do it? Hand to the man. Thumbs up if you could. If you would.
I believe that a majority of women who are older could do it, because I've had older women like, kick it with me. I've had older women that have talked to me about like, oh, once those women who reject you now when they get older, you'll be able to be, accepted and all that, because they're older and think differently now. But usually by that point, that person's already had 2 or 3 kids and they are married, or I mean, they have 2 or 3 kids and then they get a divorce or break up with the person that they were dating. And now all of a sudden they could be dating someone else now. So, um, you know, um, and you could, now they're ready for, the person who would treat them right after they already had kids, after they'd already done everything, and now they want the disabled, legally blind guy or somebody like that to come in and be the step crash dummy and help out and all that. Nope, nope, nope. Don't ever do that. Let's continue. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and join the Young Tripp family.
Do that. Depart. How many of you could honestly say, yeah, I can do it? Hand to the man. Thumbs up if you could. If you would do that, give me a thumbs up. Serious now, this is serious. God watching. Thumbs down, you say, nah, man, I'm gonna be straight up, man. I can't do it, Willie D. I'm gonna have to move around. I can't do it. I cannot take care of no sickly person. I can't do it. And if they ain't got no money, we ain't talking about money right now. Let's just stick with let's stick with the sick thing first. The sickness. Could you do it? Could you do it?
Oh, absolutely. I know I could.
Family, I've thought about that myself and I've seen people do it. And I think that, yeah, I could do it. In fact, I know I could do it because when I love hard. Y'all don't understand. When I love hard. But I do believe that if a person does get ill, they got to be on their best behavior because it's already a major burden for people, to take care of somebody who's sickly, right? And you complaining too? That's how a lot of older people end up in convalescent homes, and nursing homes and stuff, complaining and just going crazy, being very difficult to deal with.
Well, and it's one thing to be ill, and it's another thing for somebody just to like have a disability though too. A person being ill, um, you know, um, I would still, help them out and stay and whatnot. I also believe that that's the right thing to do. Um, but also, I'm looking at it as well too. If a person just has a simple, like disability, somebody being ill, I think you should still want to stay and help. That may be a bit more difficult because you probably can't go and have as much fun and all that. But there's a lot of women too that will just, let alone somebody being ill, they may just have a little disability that they've had their entire life, and then they're ready to run in the other direction and leave them. So I'm like Willie though. I could deal with it. I think a simple disability like blindness, hearing loss, any type of basic simplified disability, can be dealt with a lot easier. But also a person who had a heart attack or have diabetes or things like that can, is fine to deal with as well too. It may just be a lot more. You may not be able to go out as much or things like that versus somebody being, just legally blind. That's just, look at Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, people like that. They had everyday lives. Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles was out cheating on their wives and all types of stuff. Um, and was totally blind. They weren't even visually impaired like me. They couldn't see anything. So there's some people who actually understand that, legally blind isn't all, it's not the worst thing in the world. But a majority look at it as it is the biggest thing in the world. And then the same thing with these health things as well too. That it's not the end of the world, but it is probably a lot more to deal with. A spouse having cancer or having diabetes, like in this situation. I have a friend that his vision loss is connected to diabetes, but he's still a great person and deserves to be able to meet someone. And he does have like some health issues, but he's still a great person, and somebody would love to get to know him and rock with him and all that if they open up their mind. Well, let's continue.
Like, and I'm in convalescent homes and nursing homes and stuff, complaining and just going crazy, being very difficult to deal with. Like, and I know it's hard for somebody going through that because they're not themselves and they have their mobility restricted. They can't really do the things they really want to do, so I can understand why they would be upset. But, if somebody right now is going through something like that, I would encourage you to be on your best behavior if you are the person that's sick. And I'm saying that. I'm not saying that Lavar was not a good sport or, just a nice person as he was going through his battle. But I'm sure there has to be some type of frustration, some resentment there, because of having his leg amputated.
But the thing is, I get what Willie is talking about. But the thing is, with women, you can't just assume that maybe he was, cutting up, not not being a good sport and just dealing with his situation. I'm accepting that his leg had to be amputated. Because you could, and I'm sure that they already worked on that for him to get him a prosthetic. And you could still live an everyday life with a prosthetic leg. I can't go get a prosthetic eye for my eye that's not as good as the other one. Can't go get a prosthetic eye. I just have to live with it. And he got a prosthetic leg, or will be getting a prosthetic leg. And so, and then you can still live an everyday life. And maybe he already has his prosthetic leg. And then also, let's not forget, he also is now talking to somebody new. So let's not even forget that part as well, too. I don't know if Willie's gotten to that part yet. I did research that before I recorded this, because I set up everything, the title, the description, and pinned comment, everything already, and researched everything. He is actually talking to somebody new already. So also, God also blessed him very quickly after all of this. So to me, that tells me that that more likely his wife just left because of his prosthetic leg. Because I don't think God would have blessed him if he was giving his wife a whole bunch of crap, even though she was there for him. I believe more that she just left him is what happened, and that's why he ended up being blessed. Let's continue.
Lavar, some resentment there, because of having his leg amputated. Lavar Ball is a huge personality, and he can out talk the best of them, and he's very competitive. So for him to have to go through something like that, you know it had to be devastating. Having said that, if you're going through something like that, you do not want to be looked at as a burden. Already, you got to know that this is not the type of person who wants somebody, who wants to be restricted, right? We already know that he's not that type of person. So to have someone there to help him out from time to time, and him not being limited to some of the activities that he perhaps took for granted in the past, it has to be devastating, and at some point, every now and then, it has to seep out. The frustration has to seep out, and typically when it does, you already know who's going to catch the brunt of it. It's going to be your significant other. It's going to be the people that's closest to you who love you the most. And I'm not even saying that's the case. I don't know what Lavar's situation is. I'm just speaking in general how these things typically go. I had an aunt, the sweetest woman in the world. I mean, sweet woman. Old country lady, She lived in the country. She's slow, but she got a sweet spirit, right? She had a sweet spirit. Well, she developed Alzheimer's, and then she got bad, and it just got progressively worse. One day, she's living with her niece. One day, the niece has to call the police on her because she done wandered outside into the backyard, and she's screaming, and the neighbors call the police because they hear somebody screaming, and they can't see her because they got a big fence. So she's screaming and screaming. They call the police. The police comes over there. She tries to fight her niece, calls her niece bees and I'm like, she did what? Did what? I couldn't believe it. But I could believe it because I do understand Alzheimer's and dementia, right? So I was like, yep, that's bad. And so at that point, that happened, and a series of other events happened, and so they eventually had to put her in a nursing home because, the niece, who was already up in age, she just couldn't handle it, anymore. So sometimes, and I've seen this happen also in a Tyler Perry movie where this guy was the guy with the money and the life, and he treated his wife like crap, and then he messed around and I think he became paralyzed or something, and he was in a wheelchair. and his wife just let him sit in the wheelchair, let him boo-boo on himself.
Yes, you're talking about it was a Medea movie, Willie. Medea's Big Happy Family, the original, not the one with Miss Shirley. The original, I think Big Happy Family, is what that one is called. Yeah, where she let her husband sit in the chair. She pushed him in the water, and let him sit there in the water because he stank after so long after he sat there and pooped on himself. I think it's Big Happy Family, or it's one of those Medea's. Oh no, Mad Black Woman. Medea's Mad Black Woman is what that one is called. Big Happy Family is the one with Miss Shirley. He's talking about, Medea's, like I said, Mad Black Woman. I know all about Tyler Perry's Medea movies. I watched all of them. So yeah, that's the one that he's talking about, where she threw him in the water. He flew out the wheelchair and flew into the water. Oh my God! Yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. Big Happy Family, obviously the one with Miss Shirley, is one of my favorite ones. With the crazy girl running around, Sabrina. Yeah. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification, and join the Young Tripp family. Shout out to our homie Tyler Perry.
Left him in the thing, paralyzed or something, and he was in a wheelchair. and his wife just let him sit in the wheelchair and let him boo-boo on himself, left him in the chair for like days, like a day or something, just sitting in boo-boo, like while she was out having a good time. Like, so, and I'm not saying that couldn't happen if you did treat somebody right, because it's just evil people out there. But if you're somehow, relying on the help of other people to get through the day, it's incumbent upon you to have the best attitude possible. Because I don't understand how people can go to hospitals and they're there to get some assistance and they're mean as hell to the nurses. They're mean as hell to the doctors. Everybody, they just got an attitude. And I'm saying to myself, these people got enough.
Advertising, y'all.
Once you get a taste for something different, difference is all you'll live for.
They got enough experience and tell to the doctors. Everybody, they just got an attitude. And I'm saying to myself, these people got enough. They got enough experience and drugs and opportunity to kill you. Why would you be mean to someone who is trying to help you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? You got to be patient. You got to have grace. And I understand that all people go out of their way to try to be mean. Some people just be out of their mind. A lot of them don't know what they're doing, especially when they when they give them all those drugs and stuff like that. They don't know what they're doing. So people get caught up, In regards to Lavar and his wife, it sounds like both of them have moved on because he said, well, I moved on. I got me somebody new. And so it sounds like he's moved on, but I could tell that he is hurt. Like, even if you're going through a rough patch, even if things were bad and it's been bad, let's say things been kind of rocky. You've been together for 30 years. Let's say things been rocky for the last 10 years, or maybe 20 years. Sometimes, these 20, 30, 40, 50-year relationships kind of just go on because, of familiarity, right? People just don't want to break up. That's all they know, so they just kind of stay together. So sometimes it works out like that. But to be in a relationship for 30 years with somebody, when you decide to call it quits, and she gonna go her way, you're gonna go your way, it's gonna be some pain right there if y'all lasted all that time and then now you're sick and you're at your worst point and then that person filed for divorce. That's when they leave, when you're at your worst. Some people might say, well, all is fair in love and war. And if you're one of those type of person, maybe you can appreciate the fact that she left once his foot was amputated. Maybe you can appreciate that. I don't know her. I like Lavar, so I ain't gonna say nothing other than that. But I tell you this, just in general, for me, I'm a warrior, I'm a soldier. I do believe in kicking people when they're down. I believe in winning the fight every single time. No mercy, that's me. No mercy. Finish them. That's the way I think. But I'm going to reserve those thoughts for Lavar because I really like Lavar. I really love what he did for his sons. I love their relationship. I love his energy. I love the man that he is. So I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.
Yeah, I'm with Willie. I wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, he found somebody new, but also a lot of that has to do with because he's older. He was with his wife for 40 years. It was easy for him to probably find somebody new because, obviously he's probably dating somebody, of course, that's probably around his own age, versus if this was something that would have happened to him when he was in his 20s or 30s or teens, he probably wouldn't have found somebody new right now. Because people today, even in their 20s and 30s, have some type of issue with getting to know somebody that has a disability or has something going on. They want their significant other to be absolute perfect from head to toe, eyes working, ears working, nose working, taste buds working, legs, everything, nothing wrong. So good for him that he found somebody new. Like I said, there is people out there that will talk to people with disabilities, and even there are a few, very few people here in America that will talk to a young disabled person, and they're young as well too. But that is very, very hard to find. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. I'll have the original video pinned at the top of the chat and in a link in the description. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and join the Young Tripp family. If you have any videos that you run across that you want to hear me react to on the channel, post it in my community tab or send it to me through direct message over on Instagram. If you have anything personal going on that you want me to advocate for you on or help you bring more awareness to it, things like you've seen on my channel, send that to me through direct message over on Instagram. Also, come follow me over on Instagram because I post over there as well too. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.